We live? I think we are. Hello, hello. How is everybody tonight? Actually, let me bring my laptop up here closer so I can see. If you're wondering about the weird camera angle, there's a reason. I'm going to be switching to here. We're going to make some handmade bows tonight. And I've got it the camera position so that I can just twist you and then you can look down on top, and hopefully that'll be a better view for you. So let me get all the channels working here. And as you come in, be sure and let me know you're there. And if you're a first timer, be sure and let me know where you're from, and welcome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to be working on handmade bows tonight. I had a post, and hang on a minute. I had put a post up and asked people what they wanted to see, and that was the most requested. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And it just so happens that I have some orders I've got to get done, and actually 2 of them were pro bow and 2 of them are going to be handmade. So, and actually, usually this particular bow I usually make on my easy bow maker, but I can make it by hand too, so we'll do it that way. Now, let me see. Okay, so who all's out there? Let me know. Hey, Barbara, how are you? Did you have a good day? I hope so. All right, let me see one more place here. Hi, Vanita. Good evening. How are you tonight? I hope everybody's doing well. So if you have any bow questions, just go ahead and put them in the comments. As I'm creating, usually I go ahead and I make the bow, and then I come back and I scan the comments for questions. But I get distracted really easily, so if I go and try to answer questions while I'm making my bow, it'll be a disaster. So like I said, don't hesitate if you have any questions. Just go ahead and put them in the comments, okay? And we're going to get started here. Trying to get all the screens where I can see. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I've got an order for 2. It's going to be a double door wreath, and it's just going to be a real simple handmade bow. We're going to use 1 ribbon. It's actually a red geranium wreath. It's one of my most popular wreaths in my shop. That's red geranium wreath, and we just used a plain black and white striped ribbon on it, and it's a 1.5 inches of canvas. I love to work with canvas ribbon, and the first rule for making bows is you got to work with quality ribbon, meaning not necessarily expensive, but it's so much easier if you've got a bow or a ribbon that has a good body to it. Like this one, the material has a really good body to it. I can squash that, and it's going to stay just like I had. It's going to stay wherever I put it. But you'll hear me talk about having a good wire to the ribbon, and then also if the ribbon the material itself has good body to it. So both of those are important. You can get by sometimes with one or the other, but you cannot get by without at least one. so, so anyway, this ribbon or this bow is going to consist of 6 loops. 3 of them will be 5-inch loops, and 3 of them will be a 6-inch loop. And like I said, typically this particular bow, I make it on the easy bow maker. It's just easier to make sure that my measurements are right. Usually when I'm making a handmade bow, I don't measure. I just kind of eyeball it, But like I said, since this is going to be for double door wreaths that are going to be right beside each other, I am going to go ahead and measure. Um, I'm hoping I got enough ribbon here for one bow, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start. The It does have a tail on it that comes out of the middle of the bow. And let's see, let's go ahead and make this about an 8-inch tail. I'm going to go ahead and move you guys here. Hopefully it won't be too bumpy. Hopefully you'll be able to see pretty well. Let me raise you up just a bit here. So how's everybody doing? Hey, Marilyn. Had a very good day. Good, Barbara. I'm glad to hear that. Just tightening down everything, make sure it doesn't move. Hey, Genevieve. Oh, thank you for being here, Genevieve. First time viewer. Hey, Richard and Tammy. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And like I said, I'm going to make a kind of a long tail at the start. This tail is going to come out of the bow and kind of fall to the center of the wreath. And what I do, and please know this is the way I make bows, so there's no right or wrong way. If you have a way that works for you, by all means keep doing that. But this is the way I make my bows by hand. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this and I'm going to pinch it, make a nice little pleat there. Like I said, we're going to make that tail just a little bit more than 8 inches. Now, we're going to need to measure. Like I said, I'm going to make a 5-inch bow loops 3 times in the center. So I'm going to measure off about 10 inches. And I'm just going to take that and fold it up just like that. You know, actually, that looks kind of small. Let's go 6. Yeah, that looks better. All right, now I'm going to take that and I'm going to pinch it. Okay. So all I've got to this point, I've got a loop here. Here's my tail. I've got a loop that went back to the back. Like I said, this is about a 6-inch bow loop. Now, I've got the wrong side of the ribbon showing toward me, right? So now I'm going to need to twist this, twist it all the way around so that the right side of the ribbon is showing. Now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to measure off 12 inches again. And I'm going to take that right back here to the back. So from the front, it just kind of looks like a bow tie there. All right, now I'm going to take it and pinch it. Okay, and again, I've got the wrong side of the ribbon pointing at me. So I'm going to take that and twist it. Measure off 12 inches. 12 inches because I'm making a 6-inch bow loop. I'll bring that back to the back. And I'm going to pinch it again. Okay, here's that wrong side of the ribbon. All right, I'm going to twist this now. Get to the right side. Now this one like I said, I wanted 3 loops that were, I was thinking it was 5 inches, but it's obviously 6 because that other one was way too small. So I'm going to make this one about 7 inches. And so that's going to be about 14 inches of ribbon. I'll come down here on my cutting mat, measure off 14 inches. I'm going to take it to the back. I'm going to pinch it. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to twist it again, right? We just keep repeating that pattern. Okay, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to measure off 14 inches. Take it back to the back. I'm going to pinch it. And I'm going to twist it. 14 more inches. I'm going to bring it to the back. It looks like I'm going to have just enough ribbon, you guys. All right, now I'm going to pinch it. And I'm going to twist it. So with that tail, now I've got the right side of the ribbon showing again. Okay. Now, normally I have more than just one tail coming down on this particular bow. And if you're just coming in, if you have any questions, be sure you put them in the comments. Like I said earlier, I'll come back and I will answer any questions after I get done making the bow. Right now, I need another tail, and actually I'll have a tail that's kind of coming up toward the, from the top of the bow also. Let me get my scissors here. And I want you to look at how I'm holding my ribbon too. I get a lot of comments that, people can't make handmade bows because they have a lot of trouble with their hands. I have a lot of trouble with my hands, with contractures and stuff. And, the key is, if you see, my ribbon is kind of drifted back here to the back, to the meaty part of my hand. I'm just holding that ribbon tight enough so that, the ribbon's not going to go anywhere. When people get in trouble, it's when you're trying to hold that ribbon out here on the very tips of your fingers and you got a death grip on it. And that's going to lead to cramps. I mean, I couldn't do that, but I can sit here and hold this all day long and I'm not going to cramp. Okay? So it's just real loosely held. Okay, so this is my short tail. This is my long tail. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make my top tail also. Let's make that about 8 inches. I'm just going to lay that over the top here. We'll pinch it. And now I've got my other tail. Now, I normally don't make these tails like this. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit longer too because I want to. But, like I said, I ran out of ribbon on that first roll. So this actually will be a long loop and it'll hang down below the wreath pretty long. So there I've got my first bow made. Now, I'm going to get pipe cleaner down here. You can also use floral wire. If I was going to use floral wire, I would use a probably a 21 gauge, no less than a 24 gauge, because you don't want it breaking. But I have a little hard time twisting an 18 gauge, so that's why I go ahead and I just go ahead and use pipe cleaners, unless the ribbon's real stiff, and then I might use a zip tie. So I just took that. Let me do that again. I took that and I ran it right there by the meat of my thumb. I brought it out here between my pointer and my middle finger. I'm just going to tighten that now. Give it a couple of twists, not too many, because I don't want a big stalk on my bow. I don't want it to where I can't get this bow real tight up to the wreath. And then I just fluff out my bow. Like I said, there's a tail that's going to go up over the top of the wreath. And there's one that's going to go into the center of the wreath. And then I've got my 2 tails that'll be hanging below the wreath. Okay, so that's my first of two bows. Okay, I'm going to look and see if we have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Let me see if I can. Oh, thank you for following, Gina and Mary. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, does anybody have any questions? Valerie's asking, do you always take that first original small tail and bring it down toward the tips of your fingers? Not always. A lot of times, Valerie, if you watched, I know you have, a lot of times I'll add my tails that go up the top later. But I've made this wreath so many times, I know I want that. And like I said, it's a order off of a pre-made wreath, so she's going to want it exactly the way I made it. But yeah, you can add the short tails after or during making the bow. But no, I don't always do that. Actually, the first time I made that wreath, it was kind of an afterthought. So, all right, any other questions? No. Oh, thank you, Sooner. And it's easy after you practice it. I mean, when I first started making wreaths back years ago, I couldn't make a bow to save my life. Um, and it just takes practice and persistence, patience, all the P's. So we're gonna make another one though. It is easy. It's just I do it over all day long, over several years. So it's just second nature. But and that doesn't mean all my bows come out perfect either. Sometimes I've got to remake them. Sometimes I even here while I'm demonstrating bows, I'll have to remake one. But just practice over and over, and you'll eventually get the hang of it. But like I said, the most common complaint I hear is that people have sore hands, and you can see. I mean, I've got a big contracture in my hand, um, and so I've got painful hands. Um, the most common problem is when people are trying to do it too tightly, and just having a death grip on the ribbon. So, but yes, Sandy, we're gonna make another one right now. Okay. All right. So like I said, we are going to make that first tail about 8 inches. And I always make it, the tails, I usually make them a little bit longer. So I've got a little bit of play. Um, but I'm going to mark off about 8 inches right there. And we're going to take that. And remember, we're going to take it and pinch it. Okay. Now the first loops need to be, what do we say, about 6 inches, or 6 inches. So I'm going to make about 12 inches of ribbon. All I'm going to do, I'm going to take that and I'm going to take it back to the back, and then I'm going to pinch it. Okay, so we just have that loop and our tail. Right, now I need to make 2 more of the 6-inch loops. So I've got the wrong side of the ribbon showing to me. I've got to take that and twist it. Now let's get 12 more inches of ribbon. Okay, so there's my 12 inches. I'm just going to take that right back to the back. And here's how I'm holding it. Okay, now let's take that and pinch it. Twist it. Let's get 12 more inches. I need to get me some more ribbon. And that's another thing. Try to get plenty of ribbon off so you're not fighting with your ribbon roll. So let's go ahead and get 12 inches. We're going to take it back to the back. Now we're going to pinch it. Okay, so there's our first 3 loops of the 6-inch. Okay, and see my ribbon's starting to migrate back to the back. I don't have a death grip on it. It's just kind of resting there. Just enough to where the ribbon's not going to slip. Okay, now let's twist it again. Now I need a 14-inch length of ribbon for a 7-inch loop. Okay, so there we go. And yeah, again, we're going to take it to the back. And then we're going to pinch it. Now we're going to twist it. Get more ribbon. All right, let's go up here about 14 inches again. Bring it to the back. Pinch it. Twist it. Get 14 more inches. Bring it to the back. Pinch it. Okay. And then I'm going to have my tail. So I'm going to twist it. See where my ribbon's at? It's all the way back here. Now here's another problem I see people do too, is trying to swap hands. whether you're left-handed or right-handed, you want to pick a hand and you want to stay there. That's where you'll get in trouble, is trying to switch back and forth, and then your bow's just going to turn out wonky. But now we've got all our loops. We needed 3 6-inch and 3 7-inches. All right, I've got my ribbon twisted here. Let me get off plenty of ribbon. Okay, now since I've got plenty of ribbon on my roll this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make another loop. This one's going to be a big one. And I'm going to bring it right back here to the back. I'm going to pinch it. Make sure everything's twisted the right direction. And then I'm going to twist this, because this is going to be my other tail. I've got 1, 2, and then a short tail. Okay, so there's my bow. So let me go ahead and cut off about 8 or 9 inches, give or take. And these measurements are not set in stone. It's just because, I'm saying 8 or 9 inches because I know what size I need for my particular wreath. All right, now I'm going to take this. I'm going to run it right back through here, right by the meaty side of my hand. Okay, it's coming out between my middle and pointer finger. Take that around the top. I'm going to tighten that down. Twist it once or twice. And now we're done. Okay, easy peasy. And then I'll just trim these two. Actually, maybe trim them about to the center here. And there's my tails. Okay. But I would advise you, if you're wanting to learn how to make handmade bows, just start out with 1 ribbon like what we did tonight. Don't try doing anything fancy yet. Sam's right now, I know in my hometown here, they have their ribbon on sale, or available now for spring. They'll have probably Christmas coming out soon. But go get you a decent one of those 50-yard ribbon rolls. I think you can get it for like $7. Be sure that you they always have their big display there, and usually they have swatches on either side of the display. Feel of it. You want a decent quality. You don't want something real flimsy. I'll show you what I mean here. And you don't want something that no matter how hard you try, the ribbon's not going to make a nice loop. Well, that one, it's doing better than I thought it would, but that I would want something a little bit stiffer than this. See how easy I can bend that? Not so much this. It's not going to, I had to really work to pleat that. Now, you don't want a real stiff one either. Some of the designer ribbons, don't waste your time or your money with that right now. Just get you a nice quality canvas ribbon and just practice over and over, and you can undo the bow, do it again. That's how I learned. I was too hard-headed to quit. All right, I'm going to raise you guys up here, and I'm going to see if I have any questions here. Oh, thank you for following, Patricia. Thank you so much. Whoops, losing my stuff here. All right, anybody else have any questions? I'm trying to move my camera. There we go. There we go. All right, let me see if I've got any other questions, guys. And I've got lots of videos on my YouTube page, my blog. So if you have any questions or any, you want to watch it over and over, just go over there, and I've got gobs of videos. Hey Sharon, how are you tonight? Thank you for being here. Oh, you're welcome, Valerie. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Lori's asking, I've never seen 3 tails on a bow. Is that usual? You can have however many tails you want. Sometimes I put two, sometimes I put three, sometimes I put lots. Um, I don't know if I've got any examples here handy or not. That one just has, well, this one has four. This poppy wreath right there has four, but it's just whatever suits you. Um, there's no black and white rules about it. You know, rules are made to be broken is my motto. So, oh, thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much. And like I said, this actually will have more tails when I get the the finished wreath done. I wish I could show you what it looks like on a wreath. Maybe I can. Well, no, I don't even have any way to show you. But but anyway, it'll have a tail coming up over the top of the wreath. It'll have a short tail going into the center of the wreath, just to kind of draw your eye down there. And then I'll have two that then flow on the bottom there. And actually, I'll add to these tails. They kind of make a dive into the wreath and they come back out. So, oh, you're welcome, Lori. Anytime. I'm glad to help. All right. Any other questions? Uh-oh, I lost my comments. How many layers, Benita's wanting to know, how many layers of ribbon do you use in a handmade bow? It just varies, Benita. For this particular wreath, it's just one. Um, a lot of times I'll do two or three. It just depends. I don't like to use much more than five or six. You know, when we get into Christmas and fall, sometimes even some of the summer wreaths, I'll put some more in them. But typically with my spring and summer wreaths, I want the florals to be the star. I want them to, um, you know, be highlighted, and I want the ribbon just to complement it. So I try not to overpower the wreath or whatever design I'm making. I try to just let the flowers be the star and the ribbon just kind of be on the sidelines, accenting or complementing it. So, good questions, though. All right. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Oh, good deal. Good deal, Sharon. Thank you. Well, Jenny's saying I make it look so easy. It hasn't always been that way for me. Believe me. Like I said, I couldn't make a bow when I first started to save my life. But I was just so hard-headed, and I thought, I'm not going to sell anything if I can't make this, you know, bows. Um, I just practiced over and over and over. And, you know, I make handmade bows. Sometimes, just depends on what I'm making. Handmade, I use the Easy Bow Maker. Um, if I hadn't had a request for handmade bows tonight, I would have made these bows with the Easy Bow Maker just so I can measure them a little bit more closely. Like I said, when I handmade bows, I typically just eyeball it. Um, but you can measure it like we did tonight. That's the way I started. But then I also like to make bows with the Pro Bow. Um, as far as the makers, that's my favorite because it makes really pretty bows. So, okay. Any other questions? Now, while I have you, I do want to remind you we're going to be starting my workshop for the cemetery and funeral arrangements. It'll start, what is today? Tuesday. It'll start day after tomorrow. Really getting excited. But we'll be making all kinds of different, well, it'll be 6 different styles of memorial arrangements. We're going to be making cemetery saddles, um, cemetery wreath. I haven't decided. We're going to make 2 different kinds of urn arrangements. I haven't decided if I'm going to use the basket for one. I might. And then a funeral cross or a memorial cross. There's one more too, at least. I can't remember. But anyway, we're going to have 6 different designs, and You'll get a complete supply list. You do not have to have experience. You do not have to be an expert florist to make these. I promise you, I'm going to make it to where you can make professional looking designs. I promise you. But I do have a sign up linked in the comments and on my link tree in my bio. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you, and I'm really excited for it. And even if you can't, make the live portions, everything's going to be recorded. After the workshop is over, then I will edit everything and email you the links to the videos so you can watch them at your convenience. We're going to have 4 live sessions each of the 2 days. So, but if you have any questions, if you click on the link and you see the information, you have any questions, go ahead and send me an email. I'm happy to answer for you, okay? All right, gosh, you guys, thank you for the follows. I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, any more questions? So last call for questions. Oh, thank you, Dee Dee. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Any more questions? Lori's wanting to know, where do we buy my ribbon? I've got a link to my Etsy shop in my bio, and it'll take you right there. In fact, I just listed a couple new ones today. I listed this watermelon ribbon, and this is a 4-inch flag ribbon. And then I think the other one was a bumblebee ribbon, if I remember right. But yeah, just go to my bio. I've got a link to my Etsy shop there. Okay. All right. Thank you for asking, though. Will I be making Reese Live? I do. I usually go live on Tuesdays in the evenings and Fridays in the afternoons, but I do make Reese Live. And but tonight we hadn't made any bows for a while, and I needed to get those bows made, and so I thought it was time. So, okay. All right. Any other questions? Oh, love the stars and stripes. I do too. I do too. It makes such a cute bow. I like it. So, oh, thank you guys all for the follows. I love it. I appreciate it. Benita's wanting to know, what size ribbon do you need for a lantern to make a bow? Benita, I've used 2.5-inch ribbon. Most times I use a 1.5-inch ribbon, though. Like this one right here that we made last week. Right here, I just made a 1.5. Sometimes, depending, if this is a big lantern, it just depends on how big your final product's going to be. Again, if I'm doing florals, I don't want my ribbon to overpower my florals. So I typically, end up with a 1.5-inch ribbon. Sometimes 4, like yesterday in our in my design group, we used a 4-inch ribbon. But it just seemed appropriate. We had pretty big florals, so it just seemed appropriate. So I kind of try to size it to the design. But I thought, with a 1.5 with these great big hydrangeas, and I had a great big sign, I thought that was going to overpower then the ribbon, and it would look kind of like whenever you put a small sofa in a great big room, So you just kind of size it. Sorry, I'm trying to hang this back up. But, you just got to kind of eyeball it sometimes. Like I said, there's no set in stone rules for anything I do. So, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I loved it. It didn't turn out quite like I thought. I liked it better than I thought it was going to be. So, all right, any other questions? You guys have been asking good questions tonight. Hey, Zuli, how are you? Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, well, that's all I have for you this evening. And like I said, check out my workshop. It's going to start day after tomorrow. We've got 4 sessions for 2 days. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer as best I can. And we'd love to have you. And like I said, we're going to be making cemetery saddles, um, a memorial wreath, memorial cross, um, 2 types of urns, maybe a basket. I can't remember, but we're going to have fun. So, okay. All right. Thank you so much, and have a great night. I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.